2025 School Board meeting for the Rutherford County School System. We'll be opening the meeting with a brief moment of silence or prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag. No one is required to participate or be present for any of these, and being in this portion of the meeting is completely voluntary. Tonight we have Caleb.
We just bow our heads, please. Father, you're just so good to us. Lord, I just ask that you bless this school system from the administrators all the way down to the teachers, custodians, Lord, everybody that's involved to help this system run well. You've blessed us so many years before, and we just ask that that continue to move forward. Thank you for all those minds and thoughts that are helping us, Lord, make this one of the best in the district, or best in the state, Father. We ask, Lord, that you would just continue to lead and guide us as we make decisions over the school system. You said if anyone lacks wisdom, to ask of you, and we're asking for that wisdom tonight and moving forward as we make these decisions. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay.
Dr. Sullivan, we have a very special guest. I'm going to let him do the introductions.
So this evening we have Mr. James Ashford here. James works here in our central office, and James and I have gotten close, I guess, the last 6 years. When I moved into curriculum and instruction, we had a lot of late nights dealing with COVID, and then being over curriculum and instruction after my oldest Declan was diagnosed with cancer. He would always make sure that he had at least 1 or 2 or 10 one-line jokes to make sure if you've ever talked to James, James has a lot of one-line jokes to always make sure that you're smiling or laughing. But James also has another hobby on the side, and a couple weeks ago he said, I think it'd be neat for me to sing the national anthem at one of our board meetings. And kind of just said it in jest, and I said, I'm all for any time we want to be patriotic, James. That is perfectly great, and I love James to death. He's probably one of the most kind-hearted human beings that I've ever met. He takes his job seriously, and wanted to give him that kind of honor tonight. So, James, if you'll lead us in the pledge first.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Come on, phone. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Mr. Ashford. That was tremendous.
Great job, James. I know that that's nerve-wracking being in front of that many people.
You're a pro.
That's okay.
Oh, that was wonderful. It helps us go right into Rutherford Proud.
I think we got
Oh, sorry.
agenda first.
I got
We're
so
just ready to be excited, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I would like to entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda. And then take a look at the consent agenda. Any comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Thank you, Ms. Rosales. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Now, Rutherford Proud, I just got so excited.
One second.
Yes.
I also want to welcome Mrs. Boyette, who is here from Bedford County. She's here observing the board, so I just want to welcome you here. And then Jason, we had her husband, we had the pleasure of working together at Harris Middle School many, many moons ago. So welcome both of you.
Hello. So every month for the school year, Dr. Sullivan has asked me to come and give a monthly communications report, and I'm going to do that again tonight, but also give some data on the year growth that we've seen since August. And so you should have a piece of paper there in front. We're going to start with this side first, the one that shows all the symbols on it. Facebook, I'm not going to read all of these numbers to you, but you can see that in every category we are trending way up, including an additional 3,000 users on Facebook this year, 3,000 new subscribers for Instagram. We're up 1,000 for Twitter or X. We're up 400 for YouTube, and then it also shows our website numbers there. I particularly want to point out the content that's been produced this year by the communications department. In May, we had 27 stories or photo galleries. That does not include graduations. If you include graduations, it was actually 39. We covered all 12 of those this year. 9 videos in 1 month, and then there were additional 90 things shared on social media, things like that. For the year, our team has produced 200 stories and galleries, 78 videos, and 314 shares on social media. That's an incredible thing considering that we have 180 school days. That's easily more than one, sometimes 2 or 3 things in a single day. I know that Ms. Rosales had also talked to Dr. Sullivan about wanting some information about rezoning and the type of messaging we did. So if you'll flip your page over, I'm just going to show you some outputs first, and then we'll share some actual outcomes. But with rezoning, you'll see there that we did 8 newsletters and or direct emails to parents about rezoning, zoning, choice schools, all those categories there. It shows the dates. Pretty much did one once a week all through that season. We had something going out to parents. And I'll talk about open rates in just a minute. And then below that, it shows our social posts for those same topics about rezoning, choice seats, all those grandfathering, dual zones, all those things. We had 6 social posts during that same time. If you remember, the board voted on this on December 19th, and then the deadline was January 31st, which was set by the board. Any questions on that part so far?
And this is just district, not school communication.
Absolutely. And this also doesn't include the YouTube streams that we have from the board meetings or the traditional media news stories that were done about those types. These are just things that we produced in-house that were sent out. Pretty frequent stuff there. So Ms. Rosales also was curious to know about some of our engagement numbers, and I'm happy to say that they're all well above industry standards. The industry standard for open rates, for example, for K-12 emails, which is reported by Final Site, which is one of the big heavyweights in the school district, like communications, and School Zine is another one. It's between 40 and 49%. So I pulled 5 different content messages that we sent home. Some of them rezoning, some of them not, just to give you an idea of where we fall. So the December 19th rezoning vote that the board did, we put out information that evening about the board's actions, what they had approved. And on that one, we had a 55% open rate, and that's actually one of our lowest ones. That was, I believe, a Thursday night, which was the Thursday before the 2-hour day before the holiday break. So that, you get a lot of people that are traveling or, not really paying attention to school things around that time, and we still had a pretty high rate. The other one is Drill Week. I pulled this one. This was in April 7th. We had a 64% open rate for those emails that went to parents. The bus transportation update that we did in May, that's when we were having some of the ongoing negotiations with the bus contractors. We sent them a message about what that might mean for parents just so they could prepare. That one we had a 67% open rate. Now, snow day, I bet you think that on snow days we probably have a 90% open rate. So I pulled one just to see. So February 20th was one of the days that we closed for snow. Now, we'd already been closed a couple of days. This is just one of the continuing days. We had a 65% open rate on that one. And then coming out of Christmas break, we put out a special newsletter that was just about rezoning. It talked about all the different things the board had done, the choice seats, the grandfathering, dual zones, just everything about rezoning. We did a special newsletter edition for parents that went out on January 9th, and we had a 62% open rate. So we're seeing really high engagement numbers compared to the rest of the industry. This does not include all of our social media stuff, which you can see on that sheet I gave you, shows you some of the engagement rate on there as well. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I just wanted to give you a sampling of the different types of messages. Really and truly, what drives people to open an email is the content of that email. So whatever the topic is, if it's something that they're interested in, just like at home, if you get a bill, you may not open that one right away, but if someone says you just won the sweepstakes, you're going to open that one probably a little faster. So it just depends, or if it's something that you think affects you, you're going to open it. And so that's what we're seeing in all of our analytics. Questions?
Dr. Sullivan? Thank you, James. I didn't mean to create a ton of work for everybody. The reason why I had asked all this is because there was some chatter on social media relating to our communication, and I was just curious, just in general, just to see how anything was performing, because I do believe that the communications department is putting out amazing content, stellar content, professional content. So I don't think it was.
You missed an adjective. We have award-winning content.
Oh, sorry, that's right. Award-winning.
Just want to throw that.
You know, I was thinking about that.
All these
too.
people are watching us right now.
That's
Let's
right.
talk about
I was thinking about that when I was making the request. I was like, he won this award.
No, I'm not talking about my award. I'm talking about the content. We just won 3
Right,
national awards.
that is very true. You
Yeah.
do award-winning content. So I didn't think it was an issue with that, just the engagement. So I was just curious. So thank you for doing the work and getting this information. I think it should be very encouraging to all of us, sitting in the seats when we're talking and communicating with parents, when they're telling us the feedback, we didn't receive this, and the school isn't doing this, the communication is lackluster, whatever. Well, we've got stats that we are sending them, and the open rates are people are opening. It's just, some people are just not reading the emails. It just boils down to that. So
People are busy. I mean,
Yeah.
you probably know how much
I
emails you get
agree.
in your
People-
inbox,
yeah.
junk mail you get at home, so
True.
you've got to catch their attention, of
Very,
course.
very true.
We use a
Right.
multi-layer
Yeah.
approach, so we send it out not just one method, but we use a variety of different
Exhaustive.
platforms.
Yeah.
And so even if they're not opening the email, hopefully they saw it on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Our numbers have shown growth all year, and so we have plans for some goals for that for next year too. We are also looking at a new communications platform that will help us even more with analytics that will go into effect, if we find the right one, July 1st of 2026. So we'll be looking for that over this next year.
Good.
We have some money budgeted to do some RFPs and things like that.
But I think we can say that we are communicating and it's getting to the right folks. It's just a matter of the other side doing the extra steps. So it's not, the school is doing their job. I think that is just the key as board members that we can promote and say that we are doing a good job of. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Y'all do a phenomenal job.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Tidwell?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just have a question. Have you guys considered posting any zebra memes to increase engagement?
I think we did have an internal zebra meme that we did not share. It may have been a zebra out
Could've
front
spiked.
with our RCS branding on its hindquarters, but we didn't push that out.
Okay.
But we did use it internally a little bit. So, yeah, we're having a burger cookout for lunch next week, and I said if anybody wants zebra burgers, just bring their own meat. And is it too
Totally a
soon for that? Too
joke,
soon?
totally a joke.
I took care of the zebra, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, the tie has turned, I see. Time for me to sit down. So, thank you all.
Communications job will be posted next week.
Thank you. And next we get to the part that most of you all are here for.
Yeah, so we have lots of celebrations, so I kept the board updated. Spring Fling is one of our favorite times of the year because just about all, if not all of our schools at the high school level are competing for state championships, and we want to recognize, of course, our state champions, but we had an absolute abundant number of people competing for state championships, and that was an amazing week. I traveled just about to see everybody. The only team I was not able to see was actually Eagleville softball because the day that I had scheduled to go see them, they defeated the team so quickly that they were done in under 30. They were done in under 35 minutes before I could get there, which was impressive, but sad too because I thought I could walk from over there to Starplex quick enough, but they were already finished. So congratulations to all of them. But first, we will call the Eagleville Softball 2025 Class 1A Girls Softball State Champions and Eagleville Softball Head Coach Chad Lehman. So Chad. Yeah, it's a.
Very proud of them. From the district tournament to the state championship, we scored 116 runs to 80. The other teams combined 3 runs. So it was a pretty impressive state tournament for us. So we're very excited. These young ladies not only excel on the field, but excel in the classroom, which we're more proud of than anything. Excel in the classrooms. I would also like to thank the board and everybody for their getting us the lights and everything else, taking care of all that, making sure our Chris Harris is going to do an outstanding job. Dr. Rowling as well does an outstanding job making sure everybody's taken care of and just everything like that. But we're just so proud of them. They represented us like they should. And me being in my other job as a mayor, it also helps that when they're talking about it, I know baseball. No, there you go. See, I thought about it.
With baseball coming up as well, going out and into different communities, I always get to talk about how positive our kids are and how well-rounded they are and how much they give back to the community. They don't always just play a sport, but they give back to the community. So we're always very proud of them for that. And I know Coach Bassam does an outstanding job making sure his kids are doing that, and they're always giving back, and the wonderful kids they have, too.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations, girls.
girls.
And I'm not joking. Some of the parents, as soon as I showed up, they were like, "You already missed the game." I was blown away. It was that quick. Next, we have the 2025 Class 1A Baseball State Champions, and we'll introduce Eagleville coach Brandon Bassam.
First of all, thank you guys for having me again. I did learn a few years ago when I got in front of this microphone to have some notes, so I'll go with that. But again, thank you for Dr. Sullivan, the board, for having us. Again, our great administration at Eagleville, Mr. Pettigo, Mr. Brown, again, all that take care of us. We appreciate you so much. I think we have about 14, 15 of our guys before you here tonight. Of course, some are out traveling on vacation or playing summer baseball, but we do, again, thank you for letting us be here. I could talk about these guys a long time. I know we have a meeting to get to, but the belief that they had in the fall that maybe I'm not sure I had myself. Some of the terms I heard was like, don't be the team to break the streak. And then John Deakins asked one of our players, I think in a January or February basketball game, did we have enough to do it again? And Brady Burns answered quickly, absolutely we do. I was nervous. We were trying to tie a state record. Those things just don't come easy. So we could talk a lot about 139 wins in 4 years. We could talk a lot about 43 postseason wins in a row. We could talk a lot about athletic and academic excellence. What you don't see is these guys work Miracle Field on a Saturday. Not just how they work it, not just working it, but how they work it. Sandlot night, the last Sunday night of the year, we like to hit BP late and turn the lights on. These guys stayed around, brought blankets, brought lawn chairs, brought a projector, and watched Sandlot on the field by themselves. Getting out of our game after we won a big game on Friday in the semifinals against East Robertson, erasing a 12-6 deficit in the seventh inning to come back to win 13-12. They were not worried about celebrating. They were worried about seeing how fast they could get to the softball game. That's the kind of kids we have at Eagleville, and the kind of kids that believe in each other, that believe they're just going to find a way to win. They just refuse to lose, and that's why we stand before you again for the 4th consecutive year in a row. Thank you.
Now we will move into TSSAA track and field state champions. And first we will move to Blackman High School and Coach Jonathan Sutton.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Sutton, teach CTE. I'm an AV teacher over at Blackman High School. We were here last year with the girls 4x1, and as good as last year was, this year was even better. Few stats, what you see here, kind of like I said last year too, if you were, what you see here is just the tip of the iceberg. We had 148 athletes. We tried to make the team smaller, but they just kept coming. We had 13 coaches. We went to Atlanta, we went to Memphis, I mean, we traveled. At state, we had 25 state entries, and we ended up with 13 medalists. Okay. One of the things, the coaches we have, one of the things that we preach, and I've made this very much a point of emphasis the past couple of years is character. And we have a character coach. We do that every Tuesday. We kick everybody out of the cafeteria, and we meet for about 20 minutes, have a team meeting. Character coach, we talk about, just being a good person, being a good athlete, being a good student, and I think that has been, this is reflective of that as well. We have here, at state, the boys team finished 5th, the girls team finished 4th, and we had 3 state champions. I have here Coach Doss, who's with the guys. The guys, we had the 4x1, they were state champions. There was Emory Harris, Jude Faisa, Jalen Dowell, and Jaden Guy. And then the 4x2, it was the same except for Easton Baker, who replaced Emory Harris. And then for the girls, we had Coach Carroza over there. They were repeat champions. They broke a 25-year-old state record at the grade 8 up in Nashville that was set by a Memphis school back in 2000. And this is almost a total new team from last year. It's Rihanna Mathis, Destiny McCoy, Samara Schroeder, and Ariana Isbell. So. Like I said, this is reflective of the entire team that you see, and I wish they could all be here, but that is not physically possible, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Dr. Sullivan just gave me the honor to bring up a legend, a guy I really respect a lot, and this year he had some tremendous athletes, and one in particular. But Coach Ricky Fields, could you come up to the mic, please, and talk about your athletes?
It's a truly honor to be here tonight. We thank you for everything our board does for our schools, all of them, all the kids, even the middle school kids. They come to Riverdale and practice, Christiana Middle, Whitworth. I know it goes on to Blackman and all the rest. But tonight we want to talk about one special young man. His name Dominic Taylor. Dominic has a great story behind him. Freshman, he got sick, got COVID. Sophomore year, he finished number 9 in the state. Junior year, he was leading the race and pulled a hamstring. And this year, he is your fastest man in the state of Tennessee. He worked extremely hard. He won the 100 and the 200. He also placed in the long jump. And all the kids we took to the state, besides one young man, which PR'd, podium. They all got on the podium, which is a testament to what they do also. Like Coach said, we got about 150 kids also. So, we get everybody opportunity to showcase their talent. And tonight, DJ gets rushed out of practice. Right now, he's enrolled at Middle Tennessee State University. He's going to be a Blue Raider next year on football team.
Too, pretty good football player, too.
Oh, yeah, he's a pretty good football player. So that's what he's going to be with Coach Mason, all right? So I thank Coach Mason and Coach Bonner and all the other track coaches was at the state meeting, along with Dr. Sullivan and Ms. Maxwell, we thank you. They was debating on how fast can we get them out to the track. I think they worked out some form of fashion that this may be seeing do both during the season. All right. Well, we thank you again. God bless all y'all. Continue to do the great work.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You got more? Yep. And it was amazing. So it'd been several years since I had gone to spring fling, especially with the track and field events, and seeing all of our schools be able to represent Rutherford County. It was an awesome experience. Next, we have the 2025 Class 3A Stewart's Creek High School State Champions, and I think we have Jeff Mitchell here to introduce. Do we have Coach Mitchell? Yes, right in front of me.
Well, I was asked to come say a couple of words tonight. I'm the new athletic director at Stewart's Creek, and I'm certainly not going to take credit for how outstanding these athletes were tonight. Actually, I want to introduce to you the head track coach, Taffy Davenport.
Hello again. It's an honor to be here again this year. I got to come last year with our 400 state champions, so getting invited back a second time is always exciting. Thanks to the board, thanks to Dr. Sullivan, who I actually saw at the track meet that day, and told him that we were going to bring one home, and we were able to, so that was exciting. Coach Harris, who is the former AD, and Coach Mitchell was there to support us also, and thank you, of course, to Dr. Harrell, who's always supporting us. My assistant coaches, Mike Davis and Jesse Merriman, who is here, but not up here, he's hiding, are a huge help when there's 3 of us and about 100 kids. We all have to share the wealth of kids, but we have 4 special ones up here. They had the first ever mixed 4x4 at the state meet this year. So it's the only time that you get the girls and the guys running together. And from the time that they decided they were going to have it, these guys decided that they were going to bring home the gold. So they were super determined. It was fun trying to figure out who was going to run what because of the way that the placement of that mixed 4x4 is. It puts it in an interesting spot. But we have freshman Emma Bratcher, who led us off. Then we had Jeremy Smith, who's a senior, and then Cameron Merriman, who made up some ground for us to lead it into Jalen Barnes, who finished it off and held everybody off. So we were super excited to bring it home, and honored to be here, and thank you for inviting us.
As someone who loves track, I want to tell you, I was sitting in the stands, and I had never seen this before. This was awesome. And the fans loved it. I hope it's here to stay because I loved the mixture of the boys and the girls running together. That was cool.
And then last, we have Siegel High School and head coach Larry Smith.
Hello, thanks for having us. Kirsten Cochran had a pretty good day. She ended up second in the 100, second in the 200, and she won the 400 meters. She holds all 3 school records for Siegel, and she's a big part of why our program has taken a leap. And so she is a junior, so we have her for 1 more year, so we're excited to see what she can do next year.
I want to make sure that this is an exciting night, that we didn't forget anybody. Did we forget any teams? Or did we? Could you come up here, sir? I can't see from there. Can I just say real quickly, you hear things about everything school. Well, this just shows we're in Everything County. What do we not do well at? I mean, you guys are tremendous. Yes, sir. I'm so sorry. I'm so glad we didn't miss you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. This is Toju Williams from Rockville High School. She is the AAA state champion in the shot put. She is. And she came to us as a state champion from 8th grade. She broke the middle school record, the Tennessee's middle school record for shot put, throwing the shot put over 42 feet. And then in high school, that shot put gains weight, It's almost 10 pounds, and she threw it almost 40 feet at the state championship, and that's not even her best day. She's a really great kid, a junior, so we get to get one more chance at bringing home another state title next year, and she's looking to improve her craft. And one of the great things about her is her season didn't start the way she wanted to, but she kept her head down and kept working and continued to work through the adversity she had at the beginning of the year and finished the year with her best finish of the year place-wise. And she's really fired up to win the state championship. And she's a really great kid. And one of the things people won't see is that at the shot put area, she'll help coach the younger kids. She'll help walk them through some drills on how to get them better, because everybody's looking up to her physically and how to be better at their craft. So we thank you for having us, and we're really proud of Toju Williams at Rockville High School.
Is that everybody? Nobody else? Oh, good. Congratulations, everybody.
I think, James, do you want to do a picture with everybody in the hallway like you normally do? Okay. All right, so if you will, if you are a state champion in our teams, if you guys will head out into the hallway, and if you've never met James Evans, this is your chance.
Okay, sorry, I didn't have my mic on. Next, we have one speaker for tonight, and is nursing data presentation by Ms. Shauna Groom.
All right, I'll get my clicker here. Hello, I'm Shanna Groom. I'm the Health Services Coordinator, and just wanted to take a few minutes of your time tonight. First of all, to thank you for all the support for school nurses from Dr. Sullivan and the school board. Tonight has been a lot about successes, and we've had a historic year in our department. Last week, we were able to share a success story at every single school. It was a wonderful meeting with all of our nurses, and I'd like to share one of those stories tonight. We have a student at one of our schools that has to have a urinary cath procedure every single day. He's had that since he was in kindergarten, has to go see the nurse every single day. And this story is a life-altering success story. It's quiet. She worked with him every single day. And I'm happy to say that he will be going to middle school in the fall, completely independent with this procedure at school. So he doesn't have to see the nurse anymore. He'll be able to do this procedure in the student restroom, like all the other students. So that's some of the success stories that we like to celebrate at the end of the year. So I'm going to go over just a little bit of data tonight, which also is success stories in itself. A little bit more about what we do. That first slide here is just our scheduled appointments. So you'll see this year's data is the green bar. Last year's data is the blue bar. You'll see that we had over 110,000 scheduled appointments that we did this school year, which is an increase of over 13,000 from last year. So that shows how much more scheduled procedures. So you're thinking, well, what are scheduled procedures or scheduled appointments? That's in a little bit of this data here. So that would be, we had over 19,000 insulin doses that we gave this school year, over 36,000 blood glucose checks. We gave over 33,000 oral medications, over 5,000 inhaler doses, almost 10,000 tube feedings. We had over 3,000 catheterizations. We have several students that had trachs and ventilator care, so 772 procedures. And we also had 527 student code blues this year. So then we look at the other part of our day, which is walk-in visits. So you'll see again, the green bar is this year's school data. We had 62,000 walk-in visits this year, which you'll see is down from last year. But that number is decreased when we look at our data. It's because we had so many so many scheduled appointments. We did not have as much time to see walk-in visit kids this year at a lot of our schools. And we also, with the new law with consent, a lot of our students did not have consent on file, so they were not able to see the school nurse for that assessment. We just had to call parents.
Technology, love it.
Yeah, we're back. In addition to students, we also take care of staff or visitors that are on our campus. This is not data that we've tracked very much in the past, but we had 1,731 walk-in visits for our staff members, and these walk-in visits are usually very urgent. They're feeling very unwell. They're having blood pressure problems, or they're really sick. We also had 65 code blues just for staff members this year. One of the biggest successes in our district, and I mentioned it earlier when James Evans did our spotlight for our school nurses earlier, is the nationally certified school nurses. Tennessee only has 55 in the entire state, and 21 of those are here in Rutherford County schools. So huge success. They do not get any additional money for that. There's no stipend. They are only doing it to get the increased education and to be able to better care for the students in Rutherford County. So I always like to spotlight that success. And also a huge success this school year is our Medicaid billing. We've not been doing this very many years, but we're getting better at it. You'll see again in green is this school year's data. We have received $182,250.06 in Medicaid reimbursement as of May 30th. We do have a contract with Stellar. We pay them a 20% administrative fee, so that means our total revenue is $145,800.05. And then you can see last year's data, or last year's information, how much that has increased this year, just due to the increased effort of our school nurses to make sure that we get those consents and we turn in the Medicaid billing. We're doing a much better job at that.
Let me interrupt you real quick, because she won't brag on herself, but Shanna's been asked next year, and it's just a proposal right now, but she's been asked, and me just as a tag-along, but she's been asked to present at the AASA, which is our Superintendent's Association, to be a presenter next year at our national organization. So that's a big deal. So proud of you for that. Even if we're not selected, that's a huge thing to even be. They reached out to us to see if we were interested.
We're doing something right here.
We are. Lots of things.
This Medicaid billing is one of the ways that the state, and it's actually federal, but that's one of the ways that they fund school nurses. Not a lot of school districts take advantage of this extra funding. And obviously, we're doing a much better job even from last year, because last year our total revenue was in the $60,000. This year, it's already $145,000, and that does not include, because that's reimbursements received, so that does not include reimbursements for April, May, and June, because we are still billing for summer camp procedures that we're doing because we have school nurses on site. So that number will only go up. And last of all, y'all all know, Dr. Sullivan has talked a little bit about the staffing ratio, the new law that went into effect, and we are getting much closer to meeting that staffing ratio with the 3 growth positions that we were given for next school year. When the budget allows, we will need a few more positions. So, any questions? I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yes. Ms. Rosales.
Oh, okay, I didn't know who was, sorry. Thank you so much for this presentation. This is really good, just to see what's happening, what's going on in our schools. So I'm just curious, a couple of years ago, we made changes in our policy, which is you helped me with, thank you very much, that in every school, it was going to be consistent district-wide at the beginning of the school year, where the nurses were going to have a time with the staff to kind of go over procedures and different things, including safety procedures in the event of an active shooting training, even practicing stop the bleed situation. So I'm just curious to know, as a quick report, if you know or aware, if that was applied across the board. Was there an engagement with the school system, or are we still needing to push the schools to get that on that alignment with the board, with the policy? I'm just really curious to see how that happened.
It was great. This past August, nurses did that presentation. They were all given an opportunity by their principal, but I'm happy to say that next year we're doing it a little different. Just working with James Evans and his team, we're doing a video where I give that information, and then it's consistent across the entire district. So we're in the middle of filming that right now.
Oh, okay, great. So they're going to be watching a video instead of the nurse.
There will be pauses where they will practice with the tourniquet, practice with the EpiPen, go over their AEDs. So yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, that's good to know that that is happening and is consistent through the school district. Thank you.
Mr. Vaughn.
He keeps mentioning my name, but actually it's Barton Henley who's done a ton of work with her this year, so I just want to give him credit. He's done some phenomenal things to help them promote what they're doing.
Yes.
I'd be curious if, when it's done, if we can get a copy of the video that's going to be shared in the district.
$2, it's all yours.
The training. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yeah, I'd like, speaking as a former principal, I'd just like to say I'd just like for everybody to know the amount of value that the nurses have in the schools, because a lot of the kids in the schools don't have proper health care. And the nurses have provided that with so many of the kids. And, you know, I certainly appreciate everything that they do because of the work they do, and they're unheralded, and they have so many kids that just don't have proper health care. So appreciate everything y'all do.
Thank you.
And we need to get that one to 750.
We're working on that. Mr. Tidwell.
I'm just going to echo that sentiment. I'd like to shout out to Sarah Bailey, Nurse Bailey over at Barfield. Obviously, my son went through some issues with his kidney, and for a while he was missing a lot of instruction. But when he felt good, he wanted to go to school, but then it had to be changed out every 2 hours. And that just wouldn't be possible without the nurses that we have at the school. And she was exceptional in taking care of our kids. And I'm just speaking for one kid, but she's also dealing with all the other kids that are coming in that are sick as well. So you guys do a phenomenal job, and I just don't think the district would be the same without you. So I appreciate that.
Ms. Sharp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Groom, if we pass this resolution tonight, I would like for you, if you could, to send us this pack that you got, and I'm going to forward it that and any other information that you have to TSBA so they can have more information. So when we go to the Delegate Assembly, they'll have their information, and we'll get some support next year.
We also have state level data too.
That would be great.
A lot of this data that's in this presentation is data that I had to submit to the state for the health services survey. Each district submits it, and then they have like an entire state level data. It's very impressive data.
Well, what you've given us tonight is impressive, and I don't think parents have any idea what services that's required in our school system for the students to be able to come and get their education. So thank you so much, and your staff, and we appreciate y'all so much.
Ms. Darby.
Thank you so much. I have a couple of questions. When a student needs to be seen as they walk in, they're not feeling well, and the nurse is unable to see them due to the incredible amount of demand that we have, what happens at that point? Can you just kind of walk me through what that looks like for that student?
It's a little different setup at each school, but usually there's already a plan in place. If it's an emergency, they'll stop what they're doing and see that student. If it's just a headache or a stomach ache, usually the front office staff will give them a time when they can come back. That's why we do try at the beginning of the year to let staff know when those scheduled appointments are, so that it's very clear. These are walk-in hours, these are scheduled appointments. If it's an emergency during the scheduled appointments, then yes, we'll stop and we'll take care of that. If it's not an emergency and they can come back, say at 1 o'clock, then they're the first person they see at 1 o'clock.
And my second question is the certification that you mentioned, what kind of time commitment does that require and cost is that certification?
Time commitment, they usually study 3 to 6 months before they take that exam. It's a board exam. So very similar to a teacher taking an extra certification to get certified to teach in a different area. Cost-wise, $400 or $500. We do offer a scholarship through our professional development funds, so I'm able to pay for a couple of those a year, and that's why we have so many, because it is several $100s just to take the exam, and you do have to renew that every 5 years. So.
But we do have monies that we've set aside to help with that.
Yeah,
that's what I was looking for. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Rosales.
Oh, sorry. Now that you're bringing up the whole training aspect, how many hours do they have to have every year to keep up with their certification once they're certified?
Once they're certified, they have to renew it every 5 years. They have to have, thank you, I knew they would keep me on track, 75 continuing education hours that they have to turn in, but to sit before the board, they have to have 1,000 hours. So it is a lot of, you can't just be a brand new school nurse and become a nationally certified school nurse. You do have to have a lot of experience.
Yeah. And then my other question, now that we're talking about the whole certification, and I'm glad that we have a budget aside for that. Is an issue the time commitment to step away from the daily duties to go to the actual school, to do the continuing education, or is this something that can be done now virtually?
Their continuing education is usually done, it's not done during school hours.
Oh, okay.
It's after
That's
school.
what I was,
yes.
That's what I was asking
They go
for.
to, like today, we have a whole group of nurses that went to Lebanon to a conference, and they're getting hours there at that conference. So they're doing summer stuff, after school hours, weekend conferences.
Oh, okay. So the barrier
very similar to what teachers are doing.
Oh, okay. So the barrier is not the time of when it's offered. It's really the money aspect and trying to get more.
And I don't think it's the money aspect. I think it's just it's a big test.
Sure.
It's,
yeah.
You know, and we have a very great success rate in passing.
Mm-hmm.
So then the pressure builds. You don't want to be the one that doesn't pass.
Oh, yeah. My mom took the test many, many moons ago. She was a nurse.
It's very similar to the board exam to be a nurse. It's just that.
A higher one. Mm-hmm.
And we have some nurses that are certified pediatric nurses. So this is just a different certification.
Good. Well, I was just curious.
Ms. Darby.
Dr. Sullivan, can we make a note somewhere? Obviously, our budget just went through, so it's not something to discuss now, but is it something we can put for future conversation among the board to maybe put a step in place for our nurses that have that certification? I'd love to see them rewarded for putting in that extra time and effort on their own.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Thank you. This is very impressive, and I want to thank you and all your nurses for the wonderful, incredible work that they do across this district.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We have no speakers for public comments tonight, so we'll go straight into legal.
All right, first we have Town of Smyrna Parks and Recreation yearly lease renewal. Smyrna Parks and Recreation Department currently leases 35 acres behind Smyrna Elementary School. The current lease is set to expire on 8/31/25. Town of Smyrna would like to enter into a new lease agreement for 1 year with the option of 2 additional one-year terms. Recommended motion is to approve as presented.
Any questions or comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Vaughn. Thank you, Ms. Darby. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have a disciplinary hearing.
All right, next we have disciplinary hearing appeal 250501. The board's been requested to review a decision of the disciplinary hearing authority, DHA, and of the director of schools to uphold the remainment of a student from Siegel Middle School. Based on a review of the record, the board may A, affirm the decision of the DHA and of the director, B, overturn the decision of the DHA and of the director, or C, grant a hearing before the board.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to affirm the decision of the DHA and of the director.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Number 3.
Number 3 is policy adoption, first reading of 2 readings. These are the policies below recommended on the first reading. The policies will be brought forth to the next scheduled board meeting for a second and final reading. A, policy 1.703, school attendance zones and exemptions. This adds language for specific board-approved programs and locations of procedures. B, policy 1.901, charter school applications, adds requirement for charter schools to use the same student information system, SIS, as Rutherford County Schools. C, policy 3.206, community use of school facilities, adds that users will observe facility closures in the event of inclement weather. D, policy 5.302, sick leave, adds language to clarify bereavement leave for classified and certified staff. E, policy 6.204, attendance of non-resident students, removes Rutherford County Virtual School as an exception to residency requirements except for currently enrolled students. F, policy 6.411, student wellness, changes required meetings of the healthy school team from 4 to 2 meetings per year. G, policy 6.502, foreign exchange students, adds language to comply with choice seat requirements. Recommended approval is to adopt the above policies on the first of 2 readings as presented.
Any comments or questions?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have human resources.
This is on tab 4. This is the MTSU Nursing Clinical Agreement. Rutherford County Schools partners with MTSU as a clinical rotation site for MTSU nursing students. MTSU nursing students spend 1 to 2 days observing RCS nurses as part of their pediatric clinical rotation.
Any comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 10.
This is the approval of the fiscal year 26 consolidated funding application. As we talked about on Tuesday, the federal government's budget timeline is different than the state and local. So this is what the state has told us. Of course, the funding cycle from federal government could change. The fiscal year 26 consolidated funding application encompasses consolidated admin Title I, Part A, Title I, Part D, Title II, Part A, Title III, IDEA, Part B, and IDEA. Preschool submitted to the Tennessee Department of Education on May 15, 2025. These federal funds will be spent to supplement district funding in the 25-26 school year, and I'll read just for the record what those amounts are. Title I is $5,563,668.01. Title I-A is $0. Then for the neglected, Title I-D for LEA is $109,388.01. Title II-A is $1,185,219.42. Title III is $794,336.99. And then Title IV is $393,877.95. And so recommended motion is to approve the fiscal year 26 consolidated funding application as presented.
Any comments or questions?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Rosales. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 2.
ESL curriculum purchase. ESL department's requesting permission to purchase its newcomer curriculum and high school English language development, ELD curriculum from National Geographic Learning Cengage. Cost of this purchase is $141,252.18 and is funded by Title III. Recommended motion is to approve.
Any comments or questions on that?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Darby, so sorry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3.
Rutherford County Schools online teaching contract. Curriculum Instruction Department is requesting permission to continue the Rutherford County Schools online teaching contract for the 25-26 school year. Contract outlines an agreement between Rutherford County Schools and teachers to provide instruction through online courses. Instruction will be provided outside the regular school day for additional pay beyond the teacher's normal salary. Recommended motion is to approve the use of the Rutherford County Schools online teaching contract and general purpose funds from Curriculum Instruction Department will pay 100% of this contract.
Any questions, comments?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And we started this discussion.
I'll go back and ask a question about that. I guess it's already been approved, but does the instruction department approve these courses?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other? Okay. Next, we go to board member discussion. We started this discussion this past week, and it's up here for discussions a little bit more tonight regarding the alternative schools. Take it.
Yeah, and really what my recommendation would be, and I've talked to several of you, do you want to make it up to you, Ms. Sharp? We've talked about it. I've talked to several.
Do we make a motion?
You can.
I make a motion to add.
I think Ms. Sharp's good.
Well, I brought it up, and I was going to make the motion.
But I had the floor.
She has the floor.
So,
Ms. Sharp.
and you can second this if you want to. I may not have a second, but I would like to remove the K through 5 from there, but also put in the 6 through 12 for the parents to be responsible for getting them to school. I spoke with Dr. Sullivan today. I spoke with Jessica Johnson today. The 6 through 12, they're a little bit easier to get Ubers and other transportation. And y'all can disagree with me if y'all want to. I'm not going to be mad. But she did say that the younger students in the elementary grades was harder to get professional transportation other than parents or family. So, and the Simon Springs is on the north end of the county, and we'd be having elementary students come from Christiana or Whitworth Buchanan from the south end of the county. So
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales.
Ms.
Mr.
Maxwell,
Tidwell.
just for clarity, you're saying remove K through 5, but do middle and high school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can I clarify?
Yes, you can.
Remove middle and high, but keep K-5, correct? Transportation.
Yes. Transportation will be staying for.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And any transportation that's in an IEP, anything like that is not impacted because that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Vaught?
Question, then, how many students are we talking about?
For your middle and high schools, about for Smyrna, West, and Daniel McKee, up to 100 at each one.
Right, no, but I'm talking about removing the K-5. That's what
It'd be up to 40 or 50 if at full capacity.
Generally, then, what are the infractions that would put them in the alternative school at that age?
Threats, knives, a multitude of things.
I'm just curious about why you would remove them, because in my belief, somebody sent me an email and asked why the position I was taking about this. And I had a situation this morning with, I've got two 16-year-old sophomores from Oakland High School working for me this summer. And one of them messed up pretty bad, and the other one had to witness it. And there was an hour of tough love that either he could have gotten hurt or a $100,000 piece of farm equipment could have gotten torn up. And my belief is that tough love, if a child has made that type of infraction, that those 15 or 30 minutes or 45 minutes of alone time with that parent or other guiding adult, if it is a family member, may solidify the act, the consequences associated with the act. So if you know, and maybe I'm wrong right here, but I'm thinking, as Barney Fife would say it, nip it in the bud real quick. If you're catering to the K-5 because they are, younger, or it's harder on the parents, that's the whole idea here with me, is that there needs to be parent engagement. There needs to be those conversations. And sometimes, and I know when Terry and I, when the boys were growing up, she was thrilled to have them captured in the car because they weren't watching TV, they didn't have phones then. She had her conversations with our two. And I'm thinking, would that not apply in this situation to these younger kids? I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I'm thinking, hey, if we're trying to really make this punishment stick and parents understand it, the kids understand it, the neighbor understands it, the grandparent understands it, whoever has to end up taking them to that alternative school, I think there's valuable conversation and valuable time for a deterrent to drive that point home. I guess I'm crazy, but I'm not in favor of exempting anybody. If we're going to do it, I think we do it, but I'll go with the will of the board here.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Ms. Rosales.
Dr. Chastain, the 40 kids that were reprimanded to the alternative school that were in K through 5, were they repeated offenses or is it one time? Was it just one time? Because that is one of the main complaint is that the same kids are being reprimanded.
I don't think that number is as high as you might think.
Let me address part of that. We didn't open that till after Christmas, and so I'm talking about 40 to 50 would be capacity. And so I don't think we have repeat offenders yet that I know of, but that would be total capacity.
Okay.
Middle and high school, absolutely, we have repeat offenders.
Right, that,
Elementary.
yes, and the complaints were from middle school principals.
Kindergarten, we're not allowed to have an alternative setting. It can only be 1st through 5th graders. It's against state law to have kindergartners
Okay.
for some reason. But
And then before there, I know it depends on the discipline. I mean, it depends on the offense and what the level degree of discipline they're going to get based on that. What will be the step if there's a first time offense? Do we try to put them in ISS before they go to reprimanded to the alternative school? How many times are they reprimanded to ISS before they actually go to alternative school? And I'm talking about really focusing on K through 5, not 6 through 12.
it depends on the offense. It all follows our code of conduct. So if it's a level 1 or 2, then it's going to be ISS. Level 3 even could be ISS or OSS. Once you get it into level 4 and 5, if it's a level 5, it's going to require some type of zero tolerance or it is going to require zero tolerance at level 5. But an expulsion or a remandment that can be modified. But if we're dealing with weapons or mass threats, which you deal with at the elementary level 2 as well, then you're going to fall into our same type of point system that we have.
So I guess the question I'm asking is that if they are reprimanded to ISS, even though it's level 1 or 2, and they're going like 3 or 4 or 5 times, does it matter how many times they go to ISS before we say, okay, I think they need to be in alternative school at that
It's a school level decision.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think we can just try with this and see how it works out with removing transportation entirely for 6 through 12. If we see that number goes down in kids going to alternative schools, or it just works out, then we can come back and revisit adding the elementary school kids to that. But just starting out just to see how it works out with 6 or 12. And then a year from now, we can reevaluate and see if we can add the elementary schools. That would be my recommendation in moving forward with Mrs. Sharp's motion to do it that way.
Just a minute, we've got Mr. Vaughn, then Mr. Tidwell, and then Ms. Darby. Mr. Vaughn.
Again, speaking as a former principal, I can tell you that I believe in order to make it stick, I think that the parents need to be responsible also. Because if Johnny's earned his way to the alternative school. It's not just a one-time thing. And I think it gives a point in time, it will more or less encourage or force parents to become more involved with their kids and let Johnny know that, hey, you know, somewhere down the line, he's going to have to stop his behavior. And I just don't feel like it's fair to eliminate some group and not eliminate. I think we just need to require that parents provide their own transportation for the kids. And I think it would just help reinforce what we're trying to do, because we need to do everything we can to enforce the discipline in our schools.
Mr. Tidwell.
And Stan's got me thinking on this, because I mean, if you are earning that type of offense to where you're having to be reprimanded to an alternative school, then we need parental buy-in at that point. We got to have, the district has so many different avenues that they can take, but at that level of offense, you really do got to have the parent buying in. And I understand, I guess part of this that's holding me up, so we have 2 alternative school locations for middle school and high school. So you got one in Smyrna and you got one over here toward Kittrell. So the distance is more centralized. Whereas, you know, if you got a kid that gets in trouble at Roy Waldron, he's going next door to Simon Springs. And you get a kid that's out here in Christiana Elementary, and that's a trek. But I'm almost of the opinion, I think this is where I'm going to land at, is similar somewhat to what Ms. Rosales is suggesting, but just maybe a little bit of a flip, is doing the trial run, but doing the trial run with everybody going. And if for some reason we need to pull back the elementary school kids after the first year, then we look at, you know, whether we're having success with that, whether we're having tremendous absenteeism, whether it's making any differences there. So I am leaning more toward now, after this discussion, of just not providing transportation for K through 12. Put the parent, let's get some parental buy-in. It's going to be some hardships. I think it's a harder hardship on where I'm representing, which is the south end, so I'm not nearly as excited about that. But again, you're talking about a fraction of students, and we got to have parental buy-in. And if that's what gets their attention, then that's where we're at.
Hold on, Mr. Arby's been waiting patiently, and then I'll go back to you and then to you. Go ahead.
I'm glad we're having this discussion. If the purpose of us discussing this is because the board has decided that if a child or student has landed themselves in an alternative school situation, that we feel it is the responsibility of the parent to bring that child to that school and back, I guess I don't understand the purpose of eliminating, I guess it would be 1st through 5th technically, correct, Dr. Sullivan? As well as if you look up, if we're going to talk about if parents were going to utilize Uber for teens or whatever, that starts at age 13. So most of your 6th graders aren't going to even fall into that category either. I do have, the only caveat being that we do have a north and south somewhat alternative school for 6 through 12, and we don't for the 1st through 5th. I'm wondering, and forgive me if this is going to put a kink in there, but what if we provided a shuttle bus where the parents had to drive their kids to one location in the Murfreesboro area if those 1st through 5th graders landed themselves in the alternative school, and they then had that shuttle bus take them to Simon Springs? Because I feel like that way the parent is still having to drive them somewhere. They're not just getting to go to their home school, but they're not necessarily having to make a 40-minute drive where everyone else is typically only making a 20-minute drive max.
Yes, Dr. Sullivan. How many students are we talking?
You're only talking about maybe 15 to 20, but whoever is that location of that one shuttle bus has got an extra 15 or 20 kids that they're responsible for a while. That is tough. I know that's not a great answer, but I know we're trying to do what's best for the parents, but we've now put.
Yes, Mr. Vaught.
It's going to be tough at that school site. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I guess I'm not understanding, because we currently are offering bus service.
Mm-hmm.
So
not at one location of all those. So if we're saying, let's just choose Barfield. So all of students from the south end that are now going to Barfield, you've basically just made one drop-off site for alternative school students at Barfield. That's going to be tough arrival on one school if it's true behavioral issues.
Right, but you just said we were maybe talking about 15 or 20 max, but surely those kids wouldn't all be from that area. I'm sure they would be some on the north end that wouldn't even be optional for that shuttle service, right?
It's still going to be tough.
And could we not have a dedicated aide for that shuttle?
Principal's still responsible for them.
I'll tell you, doing that, let me just speak from a principal standpoint. You got all these kids that are reprimanded to the alternative school on your campus. That's a problem, because a lot of them aren't your students. And the ones that we've done that for, just speaking as a principal, has always been a pain, because you have to deal with those kids, and they're always getting into things on campus and causing problems with your students on the campus. And I don't agree with putting these alternative student kids on any school campus. I don't think it's fair to any school to do that. That's just one more headache they've got, and you're dealing with kids that aren't theirs. I wouldn't agree with picking up a shuttle anywhere on any school campus. If they want to do it at the bus station or something, that's okay, but I wouldn't agree to put them on the school. I just think we need to bring the paddle back out.
Mr. Vaughn?
We didn't have any trouble about the alternative schools back then.
My fellow board members here are getting tickled at some of my antics down here, but I'm sitting here thinking, I hate to get sidetracked about this, but the thought just popped in my mind, let's just dump them off right here at the central office, and the transportation department can deal with them right straight up.
Sign us up.
But I guess let me go back to Ms. Sharp and ask her the idea of exempting. Is it because of their age, or I was sitting here thinking if it was a first offender, if they're a first flyer, if we could give them a pass on the first offense. I know that's a logistic nightmare that I would be asking transportation to do. To give them a free get out of jail card, so to speak, on the first offense, but the second one, they're off the bus, parents' transportation. If you'd highlight for me what your intentions were, I'm trying to think deeper into this.
Sure. My thing was because it's all the way up on the north end. And when I spoke with Ms. Johnson, who's over our Atlas program, they have a really hard time getting transportation, because we have to provide transportation for the homeless regardless where they are. They have a really hard time getting those younger students. People don't want to Uber a first grader. There's a lot of things. So that means if the parent can't do it, if the grandparents don't do it, where when you have the high K or 6 through 12, they may have a relative, they may have a neighbor, they may, some of them may be driving or something like that. They've got other options. So that was my point.
So your deal was, because of the logistics of it. All right, let me ask you this, Dr. Sullivan, then. We have talked about rebuilding or renovating Daniel McKee or something to that nature here in the next year or so. Is there any possibility about having an elementary alternative in the central part of the county here? You hadn't thought about it. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
We have. It'd be at one of our school sites.
But it would still be we'd have to take a school, or
It'd have to be in the wing of a school.
yeah, and that's not going to be a popular idea.
It is not.
Can I make one comment before I call on you?
Yeah, Church Street. Okay, all right. That's anyway. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think pitch them out. That sounds ugly, but if they're gonna mess up, I really think. I'll go back to that Barney Fife, nip it in the bud early. Let's get it done. Maybe that 15-minute conversation for, how many weeks is it that they go?
Nine to a year, depending on.
9 weeks, and maybe that is enough to deter something going forward.
I want to make one comment before I call on some other people. My question is, this is a new thing. We've never had this before at this younger age. How receptive were the parents when we told them, your child has done this offense? Were they like, I get it, I want my child to be there, I want him to get, because at this age, we think this could make the biggest impact by putting them there, because they're young. We can mold them and try to get them so they're not there at Daniel McKee when they're in 6th grade or high school. So did we have any pushback from parents, or were they okay with it? I mean,
I still got appeals, yes.
Okay. Well, my thing is, the only reason why I would be cautious about removing transportation, we want them there, because this is where we've got them, and we can maybe change some kids and make sure that they're not there in 6th grade and high school. So that's my only problem with, maybe we need to do everything we can to make sure we get all these kids that have been sentenced, I hate to use the word sentence, but, told that this is where they need to go. So that was what I wanted to say, but yes, Ms. Rosales
Yes.
and Mr.
Thank you. So
Tidwell.
to piggyback off what Ms. Darby said, instead of providing a shuttle bus, which I had talked to Dr. Sullivan about, to the school, create a location that's the hub, that's not at the school property, somewhere else. So when my daughter was reprimanded, and my husband doesn't like it, and I'm gonna bring this up. When my daughter was reprimanded when she was reprimanded to alternative school, we actually went to the parking lot of a shopping mall. And that's where we were at. And we had to wait for the bus driver. You're shaking your head, like so quickly too, like.
We're responsible for that site. Yep, we're responsible for that site.
When we were
We call the question.
When we designate a site, it becomes our
Our
site and we
responsibility.
become responsible.
Oh, well, I don't know how they were able to do it, but that school
Me either.
system had a parking lot designated that was not our school grounds, where parents were waiting for the bus, because you had to have an adult for drop-off and pickup. So it wasn't just for the morning time, it was also in the afternoon time. And that's something that can be considered for the elementary school, to say, how can we have parent buy-in?
It would be no different than a bus stop that we assign. Once we assign a bus stop, that's where our responsibility starts. So if you specify a parking lot, that becomes that bus's stop, and we become responsible for the student in that lot.
So I did hear you, but is it okay if we hear from Mr. Tidwell and Ms. Darby, and then call the question? Okay? Mr. Tidwell.
A couple questions. Dr. Sullivan, how realistic is it that we are going to be potentially addressing our Daniel McKee and,
In the next 2 years, pretty realistic. I hope to draft a 5-year plan. I've got a draft of a 5-year plan, but bring it to the board at our July meeting.
all right. What about this? Since you have North End Elementary alternative school, is there the potential that we could wing off another section for elementary kids where I guess they're not mixing. I'm sure we don't want to be mixing elementary kids with middle and high school, but is that a potential? Are we talking about millions and millions and more dollars?
No, it's not millions and millions and more. We have the room at 2 of our elementary schools right now. Both of them are in your zone, though, so we can talk about it later.
I will say this, though, that still, I'm telling you guys where I'm at as we're going through the conversation. I definitely think that we should not provide, if we're going to not provide transportation for let's just not do it for any of them, period. Just be done. But until we have a solution for the elementary school, whether that's adding on additions or something like that to a potential build down the road, we're already losing or saving bus routes, right, by not having to bus these kids from their current, if it's a kid at Barfield, a kid at Christian Elementary, kid not John Bittard, but any of our other elementary schools, they're busing them to a certain location, and then they're busing them up to Simon Springs. So we're going to be saving routes no matter what. What Ms. Darby has proposed, and which I like, and I don't know what the antics is going to be, but let's have a spot. Hey, I'm fine with central office. We'll do it right up front. But let's have a spot where the parents are responsible for getting the kids to by a specific time, and then we're taking the one route from that location to the north part of the county. The downside, let me say this. I'm thinking it through as we're going through it. I don't know how that would work, and maybe you can explain this, because at the end of school, the route would take them back to the pickup zone.
Correct.
So if the parents are not there to pick them up,
It's a problem, yes.
that would be different. Well, but what would it be at one of our schools? I mean,
Principal stays.
so we'd have to have somebody assigned to that duty.
You could, if the parents weren't there to pick them up, you could then eliminate them having the privilege of riding the shuttle bus.
Realistically, we'll call the police department for abandonment.
I say they meet here, and Mr. Vaughn can do a class in the morning and in the afternoon with the students. That would for sure make sure.
He's got volunteers, brother.
Okay.
Take care of that. Let us bring the paddle back in. We could.
Okay.
Back on.
Well, that's my final say, kind of on it, is Dr. Sullivan, if when we're looking at these designs, if we can conclude the possibility of building out an elementary portion of it, I think that resolves a lot of the conversation we're having right now, and the parents are taking them straight to that
Well,
in the meantime.
yes, Ms. Darby.
Dr. Sullivan, is it a possibility, if the board were to approve it with the shuttle bus, to try it out at the start of the year? Because I mean, anything that we do, even if we eliminate it across the board from 1st through 12th, the board can always come back and amend that if we find that partway through the year it's really just not functioning well or not working, correct?
I would rather do anything other than the shuttle bus.
Well, we don't, I'm sorry.
I mean, that's just my recommendation. The stress that adds to a school when you have, let's just say it's a weapon. A kid brings a weapon to a school, that kid is, especially 1st or 2nd grade, unless they're making a threat to truly do something to a student, I'm probably going to allow them to go, modify that and allow them to go to the alternative school. Now I'm putting that student at another school that a principal is going to feel that this student was expelled, but you're putting them now at my school and risking my students, and you have a parent dropping them off and I don't know what they're doing.
Could we not, though, I mean, similar to how the alternative schools have the uniform and all that kind of stuff, could you not have procedures in place of you're to remain in your car with your student until X time, and then they are to directly board from your vehicle to the bus, so that they're really not on the campus aside from walking 15 or 20 feet to the bus?
I love that in theory. In reality, they're not going to follow it.
No, they're not.
I love it. I mean, I do, and I'm not trying to.
No,
that's
that's
just
fine.
the reality.
You're going to hear, I've got work,
Yes.
I've got to go, I've
It's
got
the
work.
same that parents drop their kids off every morning before we.
I would like to amend the motion to include 1st through 12th, and we'll see how it goes.
Second.
Okay.
It wasn't him. Bring that by us. What's the motion now?
Or shuttle bus or just?
To remove transportation for the alternative schools from 1st grade to 12th grade, and we can revisit after the first semester.
Ms. Sharp, do you want to withdraw your original and just go with Ms. Darby's? I was kind of.
That's a new motion. It's not, we will have to vote on this, not an amendment.
Right.
That's a whole.
Can we just do a roll call? Can we just do a roll
Let's
call?
just do a roll
I
call.
will, okay.
We're going to go, what is the original? Can you, Ms. Williams, can you read the original?
Can withdraw her motion, can you?
Yep, she could, but she didn't want to.
But then, but
Don't
when it
want
comes
to.
to you, I know.
Can I say something else about that?
Okay, real quick.
You got to understand, these kids that are, these elementary kids that are remanded to the alternative school, it hadn't been just a one-time thing. It's been a continuous acts of breaking the school rules. And the parents need to be involved, need to be punished, if you want to call them that, need to be held accountable also. Because it's their responsibility to teach that kid how to behave. And if a kid doesn't behave in school, I mean, in my opinion, it falls back on the parents. Now, the longer you tolerate that, you know, the Bible says, you know, you spare the rod and spoil the child. And if you don't make him behave early on, you're going to be making him behave when he gets, you have to go get him out of jail when he gets 16. And parents have a certain amount of responsibility if a kid doesn't behave in school. So that's just.
Okay, let's go ahead. We have an original motion. Ms. Williams, could you read that motion, please?
All right, parents must provide transportation to Smyrna West and Daniel McKee, grades 6 through 12 students. Transportation is provided for grades 1 through 5 Simon Springs students.
And let's roll call so we know exactly what our numbers are.
Mr. Vaught? Mr. Vaughn?
No.
Mrs. Darby?
No.
Ms. Sharp? Mr. Tidwell?
No.
Mrs. Rosales?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxwell?
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay.
I'll make a motion
Ms.
to
Maxwell,
include.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes.
I make a motion to remove transportation entirely for K through 12.
Just K through 12.
I mean, first grade through 12.
Okay, first K through 12. Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second, but it's first through 12th, not kindergarten.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I restated and said first through 12.
So first through 12, remove transportation. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Tidwell?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosales?
Yes.
Ms. Sharp? Mr. Vaught?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mrs. Darby?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxwell?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
I'd like to make a motion that first through fifth, parents are responsible for taking them to the spot, which that spot has yet to be determined by the district. And from there, the district will have one spot on the south end that transports them to the north end.
Second.
Yes. So it would be for kids that are recommended to the alternative school, first through fifth. The district will direct them to, the parents will have to provide transportation to a spot, we can use the word hub, whatever best fits, that the district appoints. And then the schools, where that splits, I guess we'll need to include that as well. The district will decide where that will split on what is considered the south end, in which parents will have to get their kids to that hub for them to be transported by the district to Simon Springs.
Yes, Mr. Sullivan wants to say something real quick.
I think the board needs to clarify where that split is. If this is a board motion, the district staff doesn't need to determine where that split is.
Okay.
I got a question also. Who's going to supervise? Who's going to do the supervision?
Could you do it by zone?
By zone,
Like if the student resided within these zones, the shuttle transportation is provided, but if you're in these zones, it's on the parent. That way you could make it by elementary school, really. Students remanded to the alternative school from these elementary schools, parents responsible for transportation at these elementary schools, parent brings them to the shuttle stop or to the school.
Again, who's going to
Because your zone
supervise?
is split. You got some that are.
You could do it by school then, if not by zone.
I say 840.
840, the interstate?
Anything south of 840.
That would be.
I almost think it would be easier if you did it by school.
Because what if you,
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
what if you had a student, it would complicate things. I do think you'd have to do it by school zone. I mean, because if you don't, then if you have a kid that's, Browns Chapel or something like that, just depending on where they end up at, you may have one that's that's getting transportation and the other one's not. So we're making a list of schools. Is that what you're asking for, Dr. Sullivan? A list of schools? All right.
I also think we could move this decision till July.
That sounds great. Give us some time to think that over.
Yep.
But Dr. Sullivan, Ms. Darby's zone is split. So she's got some that's above 840, and then she's got.
We're talking about the individual schools, though, not the school board member zones, the actual
Right.
schools.
Yeah.
The actual
Okay.
school.
Okay, gotcha. I thought you were.
Mr. Vaught.
Thank you.
I've got a question for transportation for Dre. How is it now? I mean, let's say everybody's protective of their area represented, but I'm gonna say, let's say a kid in 3rd grade messes up at Las Casas right now. What happens? How's that kid get to Simon Springs?
Right now, if they're at Simon Springs, it's door to door. So in other words, if they're in Las Casas, we pick them up and they're delivered to the school.
So if Jackson and Chandler messed up when they were in school,
They go, I pick them up.
you would come straight to my house.
Yes, sir.
At the far end of the county and hand deliver them.
Yes, sir, and I bring them back.
That's too good.
There's that few. Yeah, remember, we started the alternatives group after January, so there were that few kids in the alternative 1st through 5th grade group.
Right, I get it. But I'm just thinking that's like having a limousine. Yeah. I mean, this is not punishment. And I'm looking at you as I'm addressing this, but I need to be looking this much. This is not, I agree, let's put this off, July.
I'm just putting out there, I don't have a staff member or a location to do this, so it'll have to be an extra supplement.
Can I ask what would happen if a parent just refused? He said, I'm not sending my kid to Simon.
Truancy.
Truancy? Okay.
Go to court.
Yep.
But Ms. Maxwell, even though we're putting off this particular decision of how it's going to work out, the transportation.
We have to have
K through
we
fifth.
have to have a approval of that, so we've had a first, we've had a recommended motion, we had a second. Need to vote on that, and then if that passes, then we need to move forward.
Okay, but right now, what stands is.
No transport.
No transportation.
Correct.
So can I ask something? I don't know, if someone second it, can it be a trial? Can we put a date to test? My recommendation will be to see how this works with K through 5 for the first half of the school year, no transportation. If we see that it becomes an issue, then we can implement to where we add your piece of having that hub, wherever it is, that gives time for the kinks of the transportation to be worked out, and then have a plan brought before us that we can potentially implement the second half of the academic year.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not directly opposed to postponing it, but I do want to get it done. I mean, I'm just thinking from logistically, kids in Christiana Elementary or even Plainview got a whole heck of a lot longer trek than those at Roy Waldron next door, those in Laverne, those in Smyrna. It's at the top. Simon Springs is at the top of the county. So, at least with Smyrna West, you got a Smyrna that's addressing the top, and you got Daniel McKee that's addressing the south. So I definitely want this to move forward, but I'm totally okay with postponing it another month, letting us get things in order. And if I need to rescind the motion, I'm okay with doing that right now, but just know that's coming.
That's fine.
Dr. Sullivan.
Logistically, and if we're trying to punish parents to make their kids involved, that's one thing, but I almost feel like doing the hub punishes the district to take care of it. And so that's my concern, is we're going to have to create another logistical thing that creates yet another barrier for us to mess up. There's more opportunities for us to have errors in this process, so I just want the board to be aware of that.
Yes, Mr. Vaughn.
Yeah, I'll promise you one thing. If we don't do this, provide that hub, I promise you, you're going to see the behavior of these kids that have been put in there. I promise you they'll get better. Guarantee you, if I know if mine had to get in that, I guarantee he'd behave a little bit better next time. I just think that, I don't know, we just making just making it, easier. It's a limousine service, it's no accountability.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
If it's okay with Ms. Sharp, I would like to just rescind the motion for now.
Okay.
I'll bring this back up at our July meeting. We will have fresh information then.
Absolutely. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. If there's no more discussion, let's move on to financial matters and number 12.
First is Fund 143 budget amendment. Mr. Rennie is not here. He is at the Budget Committee meeting, and he is not responding to my text asking how it's going, which worries me a little bit.
That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah. And we have nothing on the agenda, which worries me even more. So this fiscal year 24-25 centralized cafeteria fund budget amendment increases 99,100, 504 indirect cost and decreases 34,570 restricted fund balance in the amount of $3,484,173 to budget for indirect costs that are accumulated in Fund 141 being reimbursed by Fund 143. Indirect costs are incurred for the benefit of multiple programs, functions, or other cost objectives and cannot be readily identified as having been incurred especially for the school food service program. Indirect costs are calculated annually by TDOE and the child nutrition programs use the unrestricted indirect cost rate. The fiscal year 24-25 unrestricted indirect cost rate for Rutherford County Schools is 11.33%. And you see the recommended motion below.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught, and thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 2.
The Fund 143 budget amendment is the year-end cleanup amendment. Budget funds for the expenditures such as employee payouts, food supplies, materials, and the transportation of those items. This amendment moves money between multiple line items without increasing or decreasing revenues and expenditures. This allows several line items to have money amended into them so they will not be over budget at the year end.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Thank you, Mr. Vaught. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3.
3 is the board recognition of the Wolverine School football support at Laverne High School as an RCS school support organization, and we read this on Tuesday night. I just want to highlight that they do not have the IRS determination letter yet, so they will be operating through the books of Laverne High School.
I'll entertain a motion.
I want to speak just a minute. I'm so thankful that Dr. Hatchett is allowing this now. This has been one of the things that has held benefits to our children back. I'm not sure what it was with the North End, but there were several principals that did not allow this. And if the parents want to go out and raise the money and the booster clubs want to do things for our students, we need to allow us. And this will turn the corner.
This is tremendous.
Yes, it is.
And I just want to let you know, Coach Johnson put out a video. I was ready to suit up. So they are fired up on the North End. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I real quick? And I think a lot of it has to do with not necessarily just North End. We had a internal practice to not allow any more boosters that I know, and that was tough. And so we have definitely restructured.
And look, this is not without risk. I'm not.
There's some risk.
Because there is some risk, and we know, and we've seen, recently, but it does put our students at a disadvantage from the other students across our district. So I'm very thankful.
So moved.
Mr. Vaughn?
I just wonder if we need to wait until we get that letter before we approve.
I'm okay with it because it's exactly what we did for Rockville High School. They actually run through our books, so there's more protection until they get the letter.
I'll second it then.
Mr. Tidwell took care of that too, so it's okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have engineering and construction.
Blackman Middle School softball fence request. Dr. Jessica Jackson requesting to install a security fence to close off the batting cages from the public. School has had numerous issues trying to keep the public out of the cages. Fence will protect the softball program cages from future damage. Anticipated cost is $8,100 and will be funded by the softball program and the Richard Siegel grant. Engineering Construction has reviewed the request and has no objections.
I entertain a motion.
To approve.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 2.
Riverdale High football scoreboard request. Principal Tamara Blair is requesting to install a digital scoreboard. The anticipated cost is $300,000, is being funded by a loan, and the guarantor requests to remain anonymous. Engineering and Construction has reviewed the request and has no objection.
I move to approve as long as they don't light it up when they play Oakland. I'll make a motion to approve.
I can't get behind that, but that's okay. But yeah. Did you second, Mr. Vaught?
I sure did.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3.
Buchanan Elementary Bird and Butterfly Garden request. Principal Ashley Witt is requesting to install a bird and butterfly garden. The project will support all grades in various academic areas. This project is being undertaken by Mallory Pollock as part of her Girl Scout Silver Award. All materials and labor are being covered by private donors, Troop 1193, and community business donations. Engineering Construction has reviewed the request and has no objection. Is that why you're here tonight? Yes? Well, thank you for staying this entire long time. So,
And can you have us all out to see that? I would love to see it.
Oh, yes.
done.
We'd love to.
That sounds
Yes.
wonderful.
Move to approve.
Thank
Second.
you, Mr. Tidwell. Thank you, Mr. Vaught. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And of course, there are none.
I love your Nike Dunk shoes too, by the way. I love her shoes, by the way. Very impressive.
Number 4.
Number 4, Riverdale High School construction project change order, engineering construction with input from Principal Tamara Blair. Request to utilize $550,000 of available site construction funds to address additional renovation of areas inside the existing building. This work will include additional flooring, ceiling replacement, and paint. The work has been reviewed by GMC Architecture and the cost is approved. This is not a request for additional funds, but the reallocation of unused site funds to fund this project.
I move to approve. It looks,
Second.
the school looks great, too.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the resolution.
And we read this on Tuesday night. This is a resolution brought by Ms. Sharp, and it should have support, I would hope, from not only our board, but hopefully from other school boards across the state. But this is a resolution requesting funding for adequate school nurse staffing. Anything you want to add to that, Ms. Sharp?
No, and just once again, thank you, Ms. Groom, for all the information, and I think everything that you've collected will go a long way for us being able to get this unfunded mandate, y'all, because this is going to come back to the taxpayers, and we're already seeing a lot of that with the TISA funding, that the local areas having to pick up more of the cost of our school system. So I think this is a great resolution, and I appreciate everybody's support.
Ms. Sharp, I think it's such a great resolution, really, that Ms. Rosales and I both would like to co-sponsor this with you.
Yes, I would like to
Seriously.
co-sponsor. I think it's a great
I
resolution.
think it's great.
Good job.
Great one.
Yeah. I
Great
agree.
resolution.
We should all co-sponsor.
So I move to approve the motion.
Okay.
Second.
Mr.
The
Tidwell.
resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have financial report.
I'm going to combine financial report and director's update. So several things, of course. We have a budget meeting going on tonight. We have board meeting Thursday. That is going to be just our end-of-year cleanup, revenue expenditures. That is about a week and a half earlier than normal. That is due to the county commission's meeting, which is a week earlier than normal. We cut off purchases today for central office unless it is an absolute emergency. So that is early. I like to remind people of a this year, $50 million budget, $550 million corporation of 6,400 employees, full-time employees, that now goes a month without issuing any type of purchase orders. And so it's a strange place to run during this month, especially when you still have summer camp going on. And so that'll be June 5th or July 1st that we really are not issuing any type of checks or anything. County Commission is also June 12th. I have a meeting with the mayors, Murfreesboro City finance directors, also June 12th. You can glean into that what you need to, and we can talk more about that. Our County Commission public hearing for our budget is June 17th. Budget has their final meeting at 5:30 on June 18th, to where they will hear our end-of-year cleanup amendments. There is not a Health and Ed meeting this month because Health and Ed was scheduled after the full commission meeting. So budget's June 18th. Then the County Commission meeting where they set the tax rate and vote on our budget amendments is June 23rd at 9 o'clock. And then just a couple overall updates. We are, of course, budget, as we talked about. We have summer camp going, reflecting on things that went well this year, modifications that we need to make moving into next year, planning for next year, and then just kind of working through some changes in the accountability model, because it is always strange when you are planning accountability and trying to make sure you hit targets when you don't always know what they are. And I know that is something we that I hit on, and people get tired of hearing about it, but when you are results oriented and you never know what your targets are, that is extremely frustrating to try to hit. So, very frustrating.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan.
So, yep.
And I just want to say, bear with us. There's going to be just a brief executive session after tonight's meeting, in and out kind of thing, but we have to meet. Is there anything else anybody would like to bring forward?
I'd just like to thank our county commission and all the budget thing we've been through, health and ed, and the budget hearing the other night. They've been very supportive of Dr. Sullivan and the budget, so
It still has to go through like full commission, hasn't
Yeah.
been
So far,
voted
so
yet.
good.
we're sort of greasing the pot.
I think they're done. I think that's why Brian's not responding to me. I think he's already home.
Well, good. That's good. Ms.
Is
Sharp.
he not? Oh, no. He's up there? Okay, good. That makes me feel better. They're still meeting? Oh, okay.
So speaking of the state, Ms. Swin was up today for her nomination. Has anybody seen anything?
Oh, no, I did not.
I'm not seeing, the meeting started at 10 a.m. this morning, so I saw some of it, but
Did not see
yeah, so that's going to be interesting. That's all.
Ms. Maxwell?
Mr. Rosales.
Thank you. We heard a lot of information about the third grade retention and the performance for this past school year. Will it be possible to get it captured in an email so we can have those notes? And then someone had mentioned about VBK that only 5% receive RTI. If we can get those details as well included, that'd be great. We can send that to the board. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Darby. We are adjourned.